So I'm beginning with a sheet of, this is an A5, UK A5 size, and I'm going to score it at the 2, the 4, the 6 and the 8 mark. I'm going to turn it round. I'm just going to lightly, I don't really want to score the first 2 panels, come down to my second line. Sorry, I'm coming down at 2.5 inch to my second line and just putting a tiny mark, and then I'm going to cut down this line. So I'm just going to take my scissors and cut straight up that score mark to where we left that mark, and then we're going to diagonally score along here, and I'm just going to use a ruler to do that. So to my corner here and the end of where I've cut. Just doing it on my cutting mat because you do need a bit of a soft surface to do it, otherwise I can't quite get the groove that I need. I'm going to fold them so that they're valleys, and do that on both sides. Flip it over, and I'm going to put the glue on this inside edge here. Fold this one in, and then that one over the top. And then while they're drying, I'm going to ink up a piece of paper using some Distress Oxide in Uncharted Mariner. And this is going to make me some patterned paper. So I've got a layering stamp that I'm going to use with this, which is a Crafty Purple Frog one, and it's a lily pad layering stamp. It's 3 separate stencils, and it gives you a beautiful finish. So I want the background to be this colour, so I will speed this up. So I've stuck it down using some masking tape, so I don't want it to move, and I'm going to use cracked pistachio on my the base of my lily pads. You panic a little bit that this is going to be really light, but once it dries, I think we need something that's going to stand off that background, so it needs to be a lighter colour. So I'm just going to line up my next one. And I have previously marked the top corner, so we do have an idea where they go. Tape that into place. Just making sure that it looks like each one's on some green. And then I'm going to use Lucky Clover. And then finally, for the final bit, we're going to use the bubbles and the pumice stone. So again, just tape it into place. So I've got some silver glitter, which I'm going to cut to 5 3/4. And 1 1/4. Just check that they're going to fit inside. Which they are, so you want 2 of those. So another 5 3/4 by 1 3/4. So I'm just going to come down 2.5 inch on one edge. And I'm going to chop this bit off again here. And then you must make sure that the other one goes the other way, otherwise you're going to have 2 going the same way and you don't want that. So two and a half. Just check that's 2.5 where I cut it. No, it isn't. I didn't think it was. That's 2 1/4. So we'll just change that to 2.5. And then, where's my mark on this one? Do it here, 2.5. And then from the corner down. I need to sharpen my pencil. I'm about to lose the lead. That's what I'm struggling for. Check they're opposite, which they absolutely are. And then trim it off. You're actually not going to see this bit because it's going to be underneath this flap. So if you want to use your scissors for this, absolutely. If you're a whiz on your guillotine, use your guillotine. I'm more likely to lose a finger than cut the right bit at an angle on the guillotine. And then just check that they're going to fit, which they are. Straighten that bit up there, I've missed a little bit there. Perfect. Check you ain't got 2 that are both facing the same way. Brill. So to get your triangles, you need to cut a piece which is 2 1/4 by 1 3/4. And then cut it in half. And you need to do that twice if you are using one-sided card, because otherwise one of these is going to be the wrong way around. So this needs to be, I'll show you how I did that. It is 2 1/4, 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. I'm just going to go corner to corner. If you're a whiz with a craft knife, go straight in with the craft knife. Just going to check that that's going to fit, which it is, and then straight up that line. And I'll show you what I mean here. That one won't fit. That one would need to be that way around, which is why you need to do 2. So this one here will fit. So I'm just going to glue them down. Does anybody else end up with inky fingers? Look at the colour of them, I look like a smurf. My fingernails are purple as well, but that's my purple shampoo. I do get showered, I promise. If you are a bit short of glitter card, this doesn't have to go all the way to the bottom. You could trim it off. And I probably won't take my inked card all the way to the bottom, purely because I probably haven't got enough. There we go. So now we're going to cut up the paper that we've inked up. So this wants to measure 5.5. Okay, deciding which edge is better to get rid of. Might get rid of a little bit of both edges. 5.5. By 1.5. And I want 4 of them. So I'm going to do my front 2 panels again, so flip them over. I'm going to measure down 2.5 inch and again up to the top corner. So 2.5 up to the top corner. Two and a half. Just going to trim them off. Check they'll fit. Which they will. So I'm actually going to make these fit into these this time. I should have done this last time, I don't know why I didn't. So to measure from this right angle here, I'm going to measure 2 inch. Put my mark, actually, do it this way. And then up to that corner. Trim that off. That will fit there. Do the same with this side, so measure down from that right angled corner. You want 2 inch, mark it, and then up to your top corner again. Trim it off. Check it fits. It does. It does. We'll get them glued. And I've just cut my final panel in half to make the inside part of the card. So I'll get these bits glued in first. So while that's drying, I'm just going to stamp myself up a number of images. Bit of Bristol board paper, card even. And I'm going to use the Heffy Doodle Bee Hoppy stamp set. These are all going to go on acetate, so... Oh, that's a bit sticky. What have I got on there? So I've just got these stuck on some acetate strips. The acetate strips are 1/2 inch wide and vary in lengths. I was going to have my reeds on my strips as well. I don't know if it's just a little bit too busy with them on there. So I'm thinking about putting them on this panel here, which I think I will do. It's a little bit of glue for this bit. These two are taped together because they were going to go onto a bit of acetate, but again, I've changed my mind. Just dab of glue behind that bit there. And then we'll start with sentiment, and these can always sit on our sentiment. So I'm just going to put them to one side at the moment. So for the sentiment, I'm using Heffy Doodle's Let's Party Jumbo sentiment die. It has got a shadow, and I'm just going to ink up a little bit of card so it matches that background again. So I'm going to use the Uncharted Mariner. Just get that nice and covered. I'm going to splosh it, I don't know if that's a technical term, with a little bit of that pumice stone that we used before for the in the stencil. I just think that that'll work quite nicely. Put that to one side and grab my pumice stone and a bit of water. Bit of pumice stone, a few squirts of water, and a flicky brush. Let's find a flicky brush. My daughter's had my brushes. This one will have to do. And just tap it over. And I'm going to leave that to dry before I run it through the dye machine. So that's dried beautifully, so I'm going to use the Let's Party and just put that through the cutting machine. So I'm not sure if this is going to be too much on the silver, but I'm going to cut it out and we'll see. So I'm going to cut out the shadow dye in the silver. So I'm just going to glue this on, and of all the bits that I've lost, I've managed to lose the apostrophe for the let's. I know exactly where it is. It's inside the dog. So I'm just going to see if I can cut a little bit out of some of the bits that are left. Of all the things it's eaten today, that has to be the most ridiculous. I saw it hit the floor and I wasn't quick enough. And I was just hoping it wasn't a bit I needed, but of course it was a bit that we needed. So let's see what we've got here that we can turn into. That will do. That will turn into an apostrophe quite nicely. The apostrophe on it's much more square. Should be there, but it will. This will be fine. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to create a little bracket so that this can sit on here and it'll fold flat to go in the card. In the scrap bucket, a bit of paper 1 inch by 3 inch. I'm going to score it at half, 1, 2 and 2 and 2 and 1/2, and then just create that bracket on which to fasten the sentiment. Fasten that down with a bit of glue. And then I'm actually going to double side these bits down, just because I think it'll stick faster. So that's stuck on quite nicely. It will lay flat to go in the envelope, just check, yeah. And then I'm just going to bob these froggies on. Down the bottom, I think. On the side of the